You've got Richard Woods, the Georgia school superintendent, David Schaefer, the Georgia Senate President Pro Tem, Hunter Hill, state senator from District 6, who would champion the beer reform laws in Georgia, popular guy, Senator Greg Kirk, District 13, who's fighting for religious liberty, Earl Earhart, state representative from District 36, Ed Seltzer, state representative from District 35, Scott Turner, state rep from District 21. You got Neil Warren, the Cobb County Sheriff, and Barry Morgan, the Cobb County Solicitor, and you've got Jack Kingston, the former congressman. That's a heck of a list of endorsements in the state.
Well, thank you. It really is. It's a tremendous team. We've got now 2 statewide elected officials. We've got 2 current or former members of Congress. We've got 10 current and former state senators and 12 current and former state representatives. And then we've got congressional chairs in all 14 Georgia congressional districts and over 130 county chairs.
Now, your ground game in Georgia, by the way, I am very familiar with your team in Georgia and what they've done, and I don't know that I've seen a Georgia gubernatorial candidate with the ground game you've got.
Well, we are working hard, and I'll tell you, the numbers right now in Georgia, it's neck and neck. It is close. It is all going to come down to turnout. And, you know, Eric, my assessment of the race, obviously, Donald Trump has a lot of momentum. He's been doing well nationally. And I think tomorrow, Super Tuesday, is going to be the most important day in the entire campaign. There is only one campaign that has beaten, and I think that can beat Donald Trump, and that is us. We beat him in Iowa. Tomorrow in Super Tuesday, in my home state of Texas, the numbers show we've got a significant lead in the state of Texas. We're going to do very, very well in Texas. And all across the Super Tuesday states, we are neck and neck with Donald Trump, including in Georgia. And so the message that I want to convey to the folks of Georgia, but also to folks in Super Tuesday states all across the country, is if you are one of the 65% of Republicans who recognizes that Donald Trump is not the best candidate to go up against Hillary Clinton in November, that if Donald Trump is our nominee, Hillary likely wins, and if Hillary wins, the results are catastrophic for the country, that our campaign is the only campaign positioned in a position to beat Donald Trump tomorrow on Super Tuesday. So even if you're thinking of another candidate, listen, there are candidates in this race who are good people, who are friends of mine, who are people I like and respect. But we're the only campaign in a position to beat Donald Trump tomorrow. And if you don't want him to be the nominee, I ask you to stand with us, because it is critical that we stop him on Super Tuesday, or else he could end up being the nominee and handing the election to Hillary, which would be nothing short of catastrophic.
Well, Senator, you mentioned that Ann Kirkpatrick, who's the Democrat in Arizona running against John McCain, has an ad out that she's put up today that has quotes of Donald Trump, including refusing to repudiate the KKK, and then she interjects it with clips of John McCain saying he'll support the Republican nominee even if it's Donald Trump, and the tagline is, John McCain used to put his country ahead of party. I suspect we're going to see that all over the nation with Democrats beating up Republicans on the crazy things Trump has said if he's the nominee.
Well, that is exactly right. And, Donald, if he's the nominee, I think the odds are significant that Hillary wins, that we lose the United States Senate, and that we get clobbered up and down on Election Day, state and local races all over the country. And listen, that has a real impact on Georgia. And if you look at the other campaigns, the only other candidate who has anything like a viable path is Marco Rubio. Now, Marco is a good man. He and I have differed sharply on immigration. He supported President Obama in pushing for amnesty. I led the opposition to amnesty. But I will say, even setting that aside, in order to beat Donald Trump, you have got to win, and you've got to be able to beat him. And Marco has not been able to beat him in any state, and he's not going to beat him in any state on Super Tuesday. So I would urge the people of Georgia, if you don't want Trump as your candidate, stand with us tomorrow. Because if we stand together and beat Donald Trump, that's how we stop what would be just disastrous consequences otherwise.
Senator, there's a growing fear among Republicans right now, some of us, myself included, who say we'll never vote for Trump, even if he is the Republican nominee, that there's so much at stake right now, and people are so angry, but that it is important to acknowledge that the anger is legitimate because both parties in Washington have betrayed the public.
Well, that is exactly right. Listen, I understand why Donald gets the support he does. People are furious. They're furious at career politicians in Washington who have lied to them over and over and over again. And Donald is loud, and he is an angry voice, and that people view that as a vessel for their anger. But what I think more and more people are realizing is that Donald has been a big part of the problem. So, for example, when I was leading the fight against the Rubio-Schumer Gang of Eight amnesty bill, Donald Trump was funding the Gang of Eight. He gave 5 of the 8 senators in the Gang of Eight collectively over $50,000. And indeed, for 4 decades, Donald Trump has given hundreds of thousands of dollars to open border Democrats. Now, you can't pretend to be for securing the border when you've spent 4 decades supporting open border Democrats. And I'll tell you, there's a remarkable story today about how the New York Times has a secret tape of a conversation where Donald Trump met earlier this year with the editorial board of the New York Times, and off the record he said he doesn't believe any of the stuff he said on immigration. He doesn't plan to build a wall, that he's just saying what he thinks the voters want to hear, and he doesn't intend to do it. Now, the New York Times has said they will release the tape, but because it was off the record, they need Trump's permission. I've called on Trump, give them permission to release the tape. If you have been telling the New York Times that you're lying to the voters deserve to know that before Election Day.
Now, Senator, listen, it's unfair, I think, to all the candidates to have you dwell so much on Trump and not yourself, but I've only got about 30 seconds left, and I want to give you your last sales pitch before Super Tuesday here in Georgia, the SEC primary. Why should people vote for Ted Cruz?
It's very simple. We've had too many Washington deal makers that sell us down the river. If I'm elected president, we will repeal Obamacare, we'll adopt a flat tax and abolish the IRS, we will stop amnesty and secure the borders, and the result is small businesses are going to explode. We're going to have millions of high-paying jobs. Wages will go up. Young people will come out of school with 2, 3, 4, 5 job offers. And I will always vigorously protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Unlike the Washington deal makers, I'm not going to compromise away your religious liberty or your Second Amendment. I'm going to defend your rights, and I'm going to fight for the working men and women of this country.
Senator Ted Cruz, good luck to you tomorrow. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, Eric. God bless.